Hi, I'm Allie. Thanks for making it to my channel. This is my first YouTube video and I'm super excited. Although I'm late to the YouTube game, I am very happy to be here, and I have worked in cosmetics for a number of years, so I'm hoping that I can share some of my tips and tricks and experience that I've gained over the years with you guys. Please excuse the mess in the back. I'm still in the process of moving in. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the Naked Heat palette. I was really excited to get this palette before it officially launched because I thought it looked gorgeous and I didn't want to have to wait until mid-July to get it. If you see here, there are some of the shades. They're super warm jewel tones, which are so beautiful to pop the color of the eye. And I think that that look can be accomplished by using a little minimal amount of the softer colors and then going really intense with the darker colors. And I wanted to show you how to get this look today. It's very simple and it's something that you could do on an everyday basis. So if you're on the fence as to whether or not you should buy this palette, I would definitely recommend it. Just because I feel like with the first two Naked palettes, they seemed, even the third really, they seem to go more on the cool spectrum of things, whereas this one's very clearly on the warm end. So I feel like it would really round out the wardrobe that you might have of Urban Decay. If you're looking for something that's a little different and fun, I absolutely recommend it. So just to give you a little idea, these colors are super gorgeous. They're very pigmented, you know, that typical Urban Decay quality that you would expect. So I'm just going to swatch a couple here. This is Lumber, He Devil, and Dirty Talk. Okay. So hopefully you can get a good idea. Like, the metallic colors are so pigmented and rich and they just read really well on the skin. And then the matte colors are, again, super rich and they blend pretty darn well. So when I was working with it, I felt like it was a great product, typical Urban Decay quality, and something that I would absolutely recommend. So if you're interested in seeing the look that I created today and more details on it, keep watching. Thanks. All right, to get started, I'm using the MAC 224 brush, which is just a nice, really fluffy crease brush. I'm also using the color Sauced from the palette. I chose the fluffy brush because it's going to disperse the product really softly, so I'm not going to get a really bold look using this brush necessarily, but I can start by building small amounts of color. I like to place the brush at the outer corner first, just because, as you can see, more intensity is going to build right where you place that brush. So if you work from the outside in, you can build the intensity towards the outer corners, which really elongates the eye. At this point, I started mixing Low Blow in with Sauced, just because I didn't feel like it was getting as much color payoff as I wanted. You can see I really take my time by blending in the colors, kind of working from one eye to the next. Doing this in layers just really ensures that you're going to get a smooth color payout at the end. Now I'm going in with just that darker color Low Blow, again to build up the intensity, which you can see is occurring now. Then I chose to go in with Chaser on the lid. I prefer to start in the crease, just because I feel like once you get that lid and the brow color going in, then they kind of just blend each other out nicely, especially since typically most of my intense color will go in the crease. Chaser is a good transition color. It kind of gets everything blended in together. There I'm showing you that I'm using the flat end of the brush that comes with the palette, and I'm using Lumber. And this is a beautiful coppery pink shade. So I added a couple layers of this color just because I wanted to make sure that I got a really even color payout. And the product applied really well. It was very smooth. I really thought that it blended nicely. When I first swatched the colors, they were having trouble blending, but at the time I'd used a MAC paint pot as my primer, and I feel like that just made it a little too tacky, and since the skin was still kind of tacky, the color had trouble blending over it. Once I used the Too Faced primer, it was really smooth in application. So I'm just really packing that color on, making sure it's even throughout the lid. And I'm working to not get it too high up into the crease. I want to keep that pretty low since it's very shimmery metallic. Now I go back to that original MAC 224 brush and I'm going through the edges to start smoothing it out. You can see that they're not blended. When I first apply the product, I just want to get the color down. Then as you go through the eye look, you can get the colors more blended. This is a NARS pencil brush. It's really dense and small. And I chose this brush so I could get a little more intensity. I like to take the color underneath the eye just because I feel like it really brings the whole look together. It can be kind of funny looking if you just do an intense eye on top and no color below. This just creates balance. And even though this is a soft look, we're using some brighter colors, and I just felt like the lower lid needed to connect to that look. This pencil brush is great to create a little smokiness underneath the eye. I could not help but making kind of some weird faces when I put my makeup on. Now I'm going to the lightest color. It's called Quince, and I'm using the fluffy side of the brush that came with the palette. And what I'm doing is just going to blend this right underneath my brow to get a little bit of a highlight and to blend out that crease color. And really, even though I'm bringing some other brushes into this look, the whole look can definitely be accomplished using the brush that comes with the palette. It's a great brush, and you get the versatility of the fluffier side, which is great for blending, and the flat side, which is a good color for packing or color placement. So at this point, things are starting to come together. It's very soft, it's very natural. I'm pulling that quince on the inner lid to blend everything together and to just pop a little bit of a highlight on the inner corner. I like it to drag it to the inside of the lower lid too. I feel like that really opens up the eye. Now that is totally upside down, but that is a MAC eye pencil in a very nude color that I've applied to the lash line. I didn't show that part of the video because I was making totally weird faces the whole time. Okay, now I'm using that NARS brush again, and I'm going into the outer corner with just one of the darker colors in the palette. And that was Ashes that I used. I first applied it with that dense brush and just kind of stamped it onto the outer corner. Now I'm using the MAC 217 eye brush, which is a little bit less fluffy than the one I was using before. That way I can get this blended out a little bit without dispersing the color over too much of the eye. We want to keep it concentrated in the outer corner to get that definition. And voila!